Austrian wines are some of my absolute favorites in the world, and they are probably as good as any wine in the world with food. They make beautiful whites that are bone dry, Rieslings that are bone dry. The Gruner Veltliner is an indigenous grape. It's the only place you'll find those, and so it's really an amazing wine region that not everyone knows about, but people who know wine, it's definitely held in super high esteem. And Vienna actually is the only city in the world that has like a substantial number of wineries in the city limits. So what we're visiting a region just outside of Vienna, not one of the ones that are in the city limits, but in the Kamptal region. And the Steinigers have really nice relationships with some of the local wine vendors, and hooked us up when we were in the area, and they were unbelievable hosts.
Yeah, I mean, so there's an architect out of New York named Stephen Hall, who some of you may have heard of, who did the design of their wine museum and also their spa. And so even though this is kind of an add-on part of the trip, for us, it was like the most magical part. It's in a medieval village, and then there's this super modern building within a historic area, which might resonate for us more than other people. But anyhow, and then also the Czech Moravian wine country is also extraordinary. They do not export their wines. It's why you've probably never had a Czech wine, and we could not believe how good the wines were in the Czech Republic, and they just don't leave the country. They're not big producers, and so the one we're going to in the Czech Republic is a biodynamic organic vineyard that we also did an unbelievable tasting at, and it's not far from a city named Brno, and that's where this Mies van der Rohe house is, called Villa Tugendhat, which is, I mean, I don't know, you're the architect, you should say, to my mind, I can't imagine a more beautifully restored 20s home than that house.
So one of the real focuses of the trip is architecture, and Prague, there's no other city in the world that has the building kind of the undamaged building stock that Prague has, from 900 to just the most contemporary building, and it's just pretty much it's a history of architecture right there, and it's a very compact city, very walkable, very approachable, and so we really want to focus on architecture and
art and food.
Yeah.
But good things in life.
Yeah. But there are not many places that you can see that range of history and contemporary together.
And the reason for that, as some of you may know, is that Prague was not bombed the way other major European cities were during World War II. Hitler actually had a love for Prague, and it's one of the many reasons why that didn't happen. And so often that, from my perspective as a movie person, they shoot a lot of film in Prague because you can actually get any period basically of European history in Prague, and you can't do that in every city. So yeah, Prague has a certain kind of magic to it. And as a kind of counterpoint to that, Dresden, which is just 2 hours away in Germany, was completely destroyed towards the end of World War II, and it's been rebuilt in these extraordinary ways. So that's one of the day trips that's included with the Prague portion of the trip, is to go on this bus to Dresden and then see some of the amazing things like the historical Green Vault, which I have to say I've never in my life seen anything like what's in the Green Vault. It's
actually impossible to describe. It's just like the most exquisitely made decorative arts. Like there's like whole rooms of things that are carved out of ivory and things that are made, silver and gilt, and it's just
sapphires,
like the craft
diamonds,
is just unbelievable.
So anyhow, so we've spent, we both taught there a few years ago for the summer, and on the tabletop are some various things, including, I think, a really amazing book of Čestner Siska's art. Čestner became, I guess, a friend of ours. We met him through a mutual friend, and he, I think, is one of the country's foremost artists, and he has this incredible, huge warehouse studio and sculpture garden. I guess it's within Prague, but it's on the outskirts. And he does these monumental works. So he'll take things like old corroded oil drums and turn them into these beautiful sculptures. So he's going to host us in his studio and do a dinner at his studio garden for us. And so, one of the amazing things for us is that we've been able to kind of go back and talk to our contacts there and try to arrange some special things for during the trip. So we're happy to answer any questions, you know, email, phone call, whatever about the trip.
And
So.
one of the things too to, I think, point out about Prague that's really interesting, and it's true of Dresden too, that, you know, having been communist controlled countries for so long, Prague, I mean, I think of Chesmir. Chesmir was an artist under, you know, the communist regime, having to, you know, be a creative, progressive, you know, art person, and so they're all the, you know, they are still emerging out of this kind of repressive society, and there's this spirit of like just flowering of art and freedom and humanity there that's really palpable to be there.
And I just want to say one other thing, it made me think of it while Louis was talking, which is that the opera houses and the venues for music are mind-blowing as they are in Vienna or Paris, but I think the ones in Prague are extraordinary, so we'll definitely be going to an opera, and we'll be there during the Prague Spring, which is their big annual classical event, and we were there for that, and we saw an amazing, amazing piece in this Baroque church. I mean, just the places where you can see and experience things there are ridiculous, you know. They're really very special. So.